What I wouldn't give for some good street stall meat skewers. Mama looked up from the overcast sky and sighed. She lived in a world that was once a place of unparalleled sparkling beauty in a noxious, foul, suffocating cage. 3 months already. Hope my old man's eating properly. And with this paragraph begins the story of mysteries, romance, anger, and more importantly, poison otakuing. What am I talking about? Let's find out, shall we? Hello and welcome to the Spiraken Book Club. I'm your host Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up. Hope you're doing well today. I know I usually do the super what's up, but my voice is a little bit shot today. But yes, we're here to talk about something kind of cool, kind of different, kind of unique. More importantly, a cool book. If you're joining us the first time, welcome. You can check out any of our earlier episodes at www.spiraken.com or spiraken.com/book club, or on YouTube at youtube.com/book club, or our live streams. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe, click on that bell for notifications. And with that, let's actually get to it because we've got a lot going on. And for one sec, for some reason, my chat isn't showing up. There we go. Now we're showing up. I was wondering why it's giving me a weird error with the chat. But hello, everybody, and thank you for joining. Got some cool people in here as well. I think we got currently, who's on here right now? Go and start this up. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like we got some good, fun people on here. Yeah, it's going to be a blast as we're talking about this unique story as well. Now, for those of you who are unaware of Apothecary Diaries, this is a light novel that was written by Natsu Hyuuga with art by Touko Shino. This is a light novel, which is a version of novel that's released primarily in Japan, also in other countries as well, where they release them as serialized events. So you get volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think about how Three Musketeers was released as little packets that were released. Here's book 1, 2, 3, and they're compiled into one story. Same premise. The other way you can tell it's a light novel is that light novels generally have unique art that is similar to animation style. And this one has some beautiful artwork in it for it that inspired so many of the other versions of this, because this has been adapted many times. It has been adapted into a actual web novel that is a little bit different. There's less romance in that, more about the procedural aspect that is the mysteries involving murder. You have this, which is a little more romantic. You have the manga, which is getting more into the personality of the other characters. And then, of course, we have the anime, which you could watch at crunchyroll.com, and tons of versions of this. But if you've never read or heard about Apothecary Diaries, pretty much to just go with what the author said. The story, it's a simple story of a young girl, a food taster in a medieval palace who could solve the most perplexing mysteries. Against that bracing backdrop, this woman, who seems prickly and also a little bit sweet, is very well received. She is someone who is looked down upon for her very simple nature. She's someone who's not pretty. She's very plain, and she also has tons of freckles. She's not a very seen person in this inner palace where there are tons of roses to look at, and she's just the little peonies just walking around. No one notices her, and she's the one that solves all the problems. Also, her relationship with a eunuch, who is the head of the garden, leads to some interesting elements as well. Now, this is an awesome series. If you haven't watched this or read this, it is spectacular and amazing and wonderful and terrible and all those other craziness as well. I mean, let's be honest, it is a series that is so, well, WTF, you know what I mean? It is so, what the hell? In 1 second, I'm going to just spy on myself. Hearing myself. I love hearing myself, but it is a little bit odd as well. We've got a couple cool viewers looking at it right now, and gotta say, this is a novel I was excited to read and go through, and I've been reading out loud to Greta, and Greta has been loving it. She loves this series so much. She thinks Mao Mao is one of the best characters possible. Also, she's unique because she is not a character who is the best thing since sliced bread. She's not the most beautiful, but she is the one who's the smartest person in the room. And even though she does have some issues, that is what makes Mao Mao such a compelling character. Also, one thing I will say is compared to the manga and the anime, this version of Mao Mao is a little more broken. And what I mean by broken, we're getting more into her head, and there is something off about her. Her reactions to certain things that are occurring, like the fact that Jinsei, the head of the interior, who is essentially her boss, is someone that he's flirting with her, obviously, but she's not seeing it as that. She can't comprehend that this guy's flirting with her. And we get more into her mentality. It's not just the just kiss, damn you, we'll see. No, it's not that. There's a little more going on with this. And let's be honest, this is one of those series that is so unique and so different that it does something. It is a procedural story, but it's also a story of a harem. And we get into the inner workings of that harem. And for those of you who are unaware, it's a very different game. It's a lot of mind games and, well, it's a lot of elements that no one would think about. As a guy, I don't see these little things, the power moves that girls do. I don't comprehend it. I don't comprehend the whole thing of, yeah, a girl wears makeup not just to impress the guy. It's to outshow the other girls, to make them look and be like, oh, you're prettier than I am. I got to work my game up. That's how that works. And it is kind of confusing, kind of, whoa, you know what I mean? And that is something that you don't expect to see in a story. And I didn't know that. And that's cool that you actually get to find out about that element. Also, the other thing is when you're learning about the different types of poisons and the different type of medicines that Mao Mao works on and creates, we learn about these, and it's fascinating to read that because I'm not someone who is a person who's into medicine. I mean, yes, I love blackjack, but I don't get into the let's see how to make this, or let's see why this is poisonous, or why that is. It's kind of cool to see through those eyes as well. Now, what about the mystery? And so, since this is a murder mystery series, essentially Mao Mao solving mysteries. How are the mysteries? Well, a lot of them are very well thought out, and you don't see where they're going. A couple of them, you can see the road that's being led to you completely, like saying, oh, this makes sense that this is how the person died. Other ones, you have no idea what happened, and then Mao Mao just has to explain it. Kind of like watching Murder, She Wrote, or any other procedural series, Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple, or Castle, you're like, aha, that's how it works. Bum, bum, bum. And that's where it is. And so, yeah, so the plot works well, the story works well, the actual release is beautiful. It is a great release by Square Enix that has a wonderful, as you can hear, binding to it. And there are 3 of them out right now, and they're all worth purchasing because this is a great story. I've given this to 4 other people, and they've all loved this. They've loved reading it. They've been like compelled to know more about the story of Mao Mao and what is going on in her life. And also the will they won't they of Jinsei. And this light novel focuses on that relationship more. We're getting more of Jinsei's point of view. In the anime and in the light novel, there's scenes where he's talking to his subordinate Gaoshin about elements, and it makes perfect sense. And here we do get those as inner monologues for Jinsei. And I know I'm pronouncing the names wrong. I do apologize. It's, my pronunciation is kind of odd. But again, digress. So, story is great. That is excellent. The characters are great. Now, let's actually get into some of the questions we've had over the last few weeks. We've actually had a couple of them. And starting off with our first question of our book club, because this is a book club. First question I actually asked was, let me pull it up. How does Mao Mao's background as an apothecary influence her perspective and actions in the inner palace? Do you think her unique skills make her more or less vulnerable in such a politically charged environment? I asked a couple people this question, and we've had some fun little answers and interactions with that. The first one someone said was, she would be someone who would definitely, that she'd probably be less vulnerable in a politically charged environment because she doesn't deal with it. She's focusing it from a scientific point of view. She's not looking at it from a emotional point of view. And that makes her a little more clear-headed as opposed to her getting angry at this, which would drive some people who are more prone to emotions crazy. And I kind of agree with that. I think that is how that would work, as you think about it from that point of view. But that is my thoughts on that. Anyone else thinking that thoughts? Not too many people commenting as that as well. And then the next one, question number 2 we had, is what do you think Mao Mao's life would have been if she hadn't been kidnapped and brought to the inner palace? Do you think she would have been happier, or does the palace bring out the best in her? And I mean, one person, thank you very much, Anna, said she'd probably poison herself, or rather get into herbal makeup research to get the working ladies even prettier, and then accidentally poison someone by getting a bit too into it. Yeah, she probably would get into the whole, let's make more poisons and see how poisonous we get. I think that it does bring out kind of the best in her because it takes her out of her element into something new. But I think if she hadn't been kidnapped, she would have just stayed in the same rut and just kind of been herself. She wouldn't have been someone notable. She wouldn't have this essentially stalker suitor in Jinsei. She just would have worked with the old lady, and I think eventually the old lady would break her, beat her, not beat her, but make her eventually become a courtesan. She'd be the weird courtesan who makes potions as well. So I think that's where her life would have gone if she had not stayed in the and not gone to the inner palace. That's what I honestly would have thought. But again, that's my opinion. What did you think? Let me know. And then next question would have been well, what do you think of Mao Mao's methods of using her knowledge of potions, herbs, and human behavior to solve problems? Do you think there are any moments where her solution surprised you or felt particularly clever? Well, I think that her outsmarting and slight spoilers, her outsmarting and figuring out the elements involving the Garnet Pavilion were brilliant. Her putting that together, because I would not have put that together at all. I would have thought, oh, well, there's this and this, not connecting how certain people had influenced other people in the involvement of honey. But that's what I would think, But again, digress. Those are my opinions on that. Other one, how do you, what do you think about the tone of the novel? Did the humor enhance the story, or did it feel out of place? I think the humor worked really well, especially some of the funnier scenes. Like, one of my favorite scenes is when she comes back from her excursion for 3 days, and Jinsei's like, "Where'd you go? Why didn't you ask me for help?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't think I could compensate you because Mao Mao's under the impression that Jinsei is a eunuch." And she's like, "Didn't think, that wouldn't work for you." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? What did you compensate him with?" And he's like, "I gave him a night of blissful dreams." And just Jinsei breaking down, this kind of like, and she's like, "Oh no, you spilled something on yourself. Are you okay? You all right?" And he just kind of breaks down as one of the funniest scenes in the manga, in the anime, and in the light novel. Sorry, my voice is slightly parched, so had to get through it that way. I think that is a great scene. What about you? What are the thoughts that you thought about it? Did you like it? Did you not think about it? Did you think it was weird? What were your opinions on the situation? Also, I've gotten some other hey, I got some other comments. Let me check these comments out. Ooh. Yeah, I've got 2 different screens. One screen is from one thing checking out, the other one's from another chat. So I got 2 chats going on at the same time. Kind of cool. Kind of chill, but let me see now. Let me scroll down this a little bit. I'm watching. I really need to get some new social media stuff. Really do. Here we go. It's an interesting comment. Someone said to the question I asked about if she'd be happier. No, she's happier there, and especially with her interacting with Jinsei makes her have more fun even if she doesn't like to admit it. That's a good point. I would think that that would be an interesting thought. Who knows? Who knows? Is a question. Who would know? Well, it all depends. And more importantly, the other big question, other question we have, do you think this story would work if it was set in a different setting, perhaps European background as opposed to Chinese background? I'm not sure. I don't know how the dynamics in a European court would work. I mean, that's a totally different scenario because it would be like, oh, you just have the one person. There would not be a harem, I don't think. I think that the harems are specifically for a specific culture, which would either be a more Asian influence or actually it would be a more Asian influence. It wouldn't be a European influence, so I don't think it would work like this. I think it would be a little more odd if it was set anywhere else. If it was set in the modern time, it'd be like, oh yeah, she's down the drug trade. That doesn't work. This is the only place this would work. I mean, if you made it that oh she was hired to be a worker lady in a castle and she was solving mysteries, maybe, but I don't think it would work because the whole dynamic of the harem is the element of the story. Is her dealing with the fact that she goes from I'm a cleaning lady to one of the ladies in waiting for Consort Kyokyo on the Jade Pavilion, and then her interacting with the other pavilions, like her whole thing with the Crystal Pavilion. Would it make sense if that dynamic wasn't there? So I don't think it would be good and serve the narrative well if it was set anywhere else. I don't think so. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Comment below or email me what your thinking was. But what other things are there besides those? Oh well. Okay. What do you think of how the way the novel concluded? Was there any resolved points that you hope to be explored in future volumes? Yeah, this ends on a cliffhanger where, slight spoilers, Mao Mao has been fired. She gets fired because they finally found out that the people who sold her were bad people, is a bad family, and she's one of the ones to get fired. And Jinsei is doing everything he can to keep her around. We know in the second volume that she eventually becomes his assistant, his servant girl, his lady, because we know that in the end he wants her to be more, but she can't figure that out because her head is all potions and medicines and other things and mysteries as well, not thinking about the heart or the basic situation. Like he offers her, do you want to stay? And she's like, no, 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 I'll listen to what you say. And he gives her an out and he doesn't understand it. It's the same reason why when she brought up, I would like to be executed by poison, and he doesn't understand why she would ask him that. It's her mentality which she doesn't seem to connect things together. In the next book it gets more into that, where she's now officially working as a secretary essentially and his assistant and clearing things up, and then her taking the exam, which she bombs horribly because she's good at apothecary stuff, she's good at logical thinking. She is not a bureaucrat. There is no way she would be a bureaucrat, and she fails that test horribly. And this is the one that goes into this one, sets up all of that. And this is, since it is a light novel, this is very to be continued. There is no here's how it ends, you can just read the one and you're done. There is none of that. You do have to continue these series. The only light novel I've ever seen that was a one and done was the I Want to Eat Your Pancreas manga. Also the spin-off novel she wrote, which was I Wish I Had That Same Dream Again, which if you have not read that manga or that light novel, it is wonderfully sad. It is great. It is like a little life, which is a novel which we may review, we may not review. I don't know. It is up in the air at this point. But, so overall, what did I think? I enjoyed it. I thought this was fun. It was different. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I know this is a quicker one than the last one where we talked about all the unique elements of How to Lose a Time War, but I think that this one is a little more fun because that one was, oh, it's a romance, it's great. This is a little more fun. So, with that in mind, let's talk about what we're going to review in the next, or we're talk about in the next book club for March. So I was going back and forth about it because I don't know if you see how our idea went. Our idea went like this. We start off with a book with two different authors with two different names in it. And from there, since we have 12 months, we're using the first names of each one to kind of run it. So it was B and N for month 2, which is February. Next month is going to be obviously C and O, and there are a lot of authors who have C names. Everything from Colleen Hoover, Christopher Pike, even Claire Roots or CC Flamer. There's tons of authors, so I've had to whittle it down. And I'm thinking, I hate to say it, for the book club, I'm thinking either Colleen Hoover or Christopher Pike. What are your thoughts? Let me know. The other option is for the O. Obviously, there's not a lot of O first names, but the one I think of is immediately Oscar Wilde with the Portrait of Dorian Gray. A book I haven't read in a long, long time, and one I think would be a fun redo. So let me know which one you enjoy and which one you're excited about. Which book are you more up to? Let me know. Email me, zanspiraken.com. Comment down below. Or, as you know, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell for notification. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'm going to be putting a poll on our Blueskies at spiraken.blueskies.social and here on youtube.com. Might have it on some other places, on Instagram, on Twitch. We're going to see. But let me know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. As usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time. Oh, one more thing before I forget. I completely forgot. Remember, if you are checking us out, remember to go to our GoFundMe to help us create more fun content for you to enjoy at tinyurl.com/Spiraken. Help me fix my laptop. It's been a few months. We're trying to get it done as fast as we can, and hopefully we can. But I digress. And as usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time. And keep reading books. I'll see you later.